In the spring of 1973, having just been appointed editor-in-chief of the Butler Collegian for my upcoming senior year, it turned out to be my good fortune to be among the first to meet Mr. Levin as Butler searched for a new head of the journalism department. As editor, I was given the opportunity to interview Mr. Levin. Since the position also served as the advisor to the Collegian, my mind was racing when we met. And when I met Mr. Levin, there was no doubt in my mind that this was the right guy for the job. But he was different. He was brash, self-confident, opinionated. He had questions and probed. And he let me know he was up to the task. No doubt in my mind, as he was fond of saying. By the fall of 1973, actually, I was one of the last seniors standing in the journalism department that had run its course and needed a jolt. Prior to Mr. Levin's arrival, few journalism majors would stay the course to graduation. Fewer still would enter the profession. I was bound at least in part to the program by the generous support of a scholarship named for Hilton U. Brown and provided by the Pulliam family, which enabled me to come to the university. Fortunately, Art got the job. His impact was immediate. The journalism students who comprised the majority of the staff of the Collegian were energized and inspired by the new life in the program. The 1973-74 Butler Collegian achieved All-American newspaper status. In the spring of 1974, the Collegian and its talented staff would go on to virtually sweep the Indiana State Press Association Awards, being recognized for awards in 15 of 16 categories. With Art's teaching and encouragement, of course, but never interference. You see, as an expert in the First Amendment, Art understood and protected the learning value of an independent student newspaper. While Mr. Levin never interfered prior to publication, he would certainly let you know after publication what he thought you might want to consider for the future. So as it turned out, the last year of my undergraduate time at Butler would change my life for the better because of Art. For the next 40 years, Art and I would forge a relationship that took too many forms to mention here.
One of my favorite memories of Mr. Levin followed a speech that a working journalist gave some students on campus. I remember this journalist said that when we graduated, we'd make so little we would qualify for food stamps, and we'd be living in a podunk town working for a podunk paper. I rushed to Mr. Levin's office after that, distressed, and he looked me in my eyes and told me, "That's not going to be you." Mr. Levin believed in me long before I believed in myself, and I hope that what I've done with the skills he imparted to me and the education I received at Butler, I hope that would make him proud.
My freshman year was Art Levin's first year at Butler University. My memory I'd like to share with you was when I was a senior and the editor of the Butler Collegian. That year, the Butler faculty was attempting to unionize, and it came down to a crucial vote. The day of the vote, a freshman reporter came into our meeting room with some information that, if verified, would have shown that the Butler administration had committed a labor violation and could have cost them dearly. As we were scrambling to try to find out whether or not this happened, Art Levin had a conversation with myself and our managing editor, and he made it clear that he would stand by us if we decided and felt comfortable with the information that we had gained. That let me know that his commitment to the ethics of journalism was nothing but rock solid, because it could have cost him his job if the story had been published and he was the advisor for the Butler Collegian. And that's something that kind of set the standard for me as far as what I tried to live by in my journalism career. As far as what Art meant to me, I think he was always been kind of the foundation of what my career was built upon in journalism, whether it was how to write or the ethics of journalism and how to conduct yourself professionally.
I was a student of Professor Levin, and I just have to say that the things I loved about him were the fact that he was kind but firm. He let you complain, but he never let you make excuses. And I really do owe him for a very successful 30-year career in communications and journalism.
So here's a fun fact. Art Levin and I started at Butler on the very same day. It was an early September day in the early 70s. I was a very green freshman in South Bend, beginning my orientation, and I was a bundle of nerves. I remember walking from Ross Hall to my first scheduled appointment, which was to be a meeting with my designated academic advisor, who was the head of the journalism department. The setting, though, was hardly glamorous, and I wondered what I was getting into. We met under the leaking pipes in the basement of Jordan Hall, the longtime, very humble home of the Butler Collegian. But amid all that dripping water, Professor Levin quickly made me feel at ease. It was his first day on campus too, he told me, so we were both newbies. But what happened next is forever etched in my memory. Our conversation quickly turned to journalism and Professor Levin's passion for the power and responsibility of a free press. It was clear immediately. It was the time of the Watergate scandal in Washington, and investigative journalism was in its heyday. And as Art spoke about this new environment, his enthusiasm was palpable. And I knew then and there that I was in the right place, on the right campus, and at the right time. And that Professor Levin would be the perfect guide to a journalistic career. He was a true giant of the First Amendment, and it showed in every class he taught. What I didn't realize at that time, though, was that Art and I would stay friends for 4 decades. Whether we were solving the world's problems over dinners, whether we were watching his beloved Butler Bulldogs together at Hinkle Fieldhouse, or whether we were sharing that great day when he was inducted into the Indiana Journalism Hall of Fame. You know, Art always told his classes that journalists have a front row seat on life. He said it all the time. And I'm so forever grateful that he prepared that seat for me.
One of my favorite memories of Professor Levin is when he encouraged me to go to talk to then President Jeffrey Bannister to ask for some funding for a color edition of the Butler Collegian. We were trying to do a special tribute edition and that after the death of Tony Hinkle. I cherish that memory because it was one of the first times I really understood the lesson about not asking and not receiving. I was able to ask and receive, and we had an amazing edition of the Butler Collegian. Professor Levin was a special kind of person, always encouraging, always wanting the best for students. I just remember him encouraging me and, helping me to believe that I could become a journalist, and I did. I remember coming back to visit him after graduation and just seeing the pride that he had and the success that I had. He taught me so much about accuracy in journalism, about the importance of the First Amendment, and he will be forever loved and missed.
I met Mr. Levin back in 1981. There I was, standing in his office, a toddler in each arm, one of them holding a box of raisins, which he sprinkled all over the floor while Mr. Levin sat me down, said, "I understand you want to pursue a career in journalism. It's not too late, let's get started." At which point, he led me in the right direction. He chose which classes I should take. He allowed me into his own writing lab, even though I had to bring my own typewriter. He even took offense when one of the professors called me an old lady in the class and withdrew me from that class. He was an instructor like none other. I revered him. He was a mentor like none other. I respected him. And in later years, he was a friend like no other. And I will keep him in my heart and my head forever. I used to say that he cheated on me, and by that I meant I thought I was the only one who he gave that kind of help and attention to through the years. I already had 2 degrees from Indiana University. He came in late in the process, and it turned out that he did the same thing to just about anybody who asked. So his door was always open, as was his heart, and I will miss him always.
I first met Art back in 1972 It was at what was then the president's house. It was a reception for new faculty, or a chance for us older faculty, I had been there for 2 years by that time, to meet them. And that began a 50-year-long friendship. Some of my fondest memories are setting up in the southeast corner of Hinkle Field House, as it's called now, watching Butler basketball games with Art and his wife and with the Nays and with my wife. The loudest sound in the field house at that time was the squeaking of the players' tennis shoes on the basketball floor. But my fondest memories of Art has to do with his genuine concern for his students. I have seen him call faculty members, department heads, even deans, in an effort to get his students into classes with those he thought were the finest faculty, and they often were, and to close classes if they were essential for the student. I think we can all say, to paraphrase the alma mater of Butler, we all owe a debt to Art that never can be paid.
When I was a junior in high school and just starting to look at colleges, my parents and I made a visit to Butler. We found ourselves in a lecture hall with Professor Arthur Levin at the helm. Like everyone else in the room that day, we were completely spellbound by him, by what he said, the way he said it, and just the engaging and compelling way that he was able to connect with everyone in that room. It wasn't long before we decided that there was no need for any further college visits because I had found my home at Butler. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that Mr. Levin is the greatest teacher I've ever had in my life at any level. As riveting as he was as a lecturer, though, it was the lessons that he shared with me and all of his students outside of the classroom that were just as powerful. I quickly learned that Mr. Levin had time for all of his students, always. The door was always open, and he truly cared about us, not just about our academic success, but about our lives and our futures. Some of my best memories of Butler are times spent in his Jordan Hall office, just shooting the breeze, talking about journalism, talking about careers, talking about life. The thing is, his dreams for me were always bigger than anything I could have dreamed of for myself. And he made me and everyone believe that we could achieve those dreams. What a gift. After college, Mr. Levin continued to be a mentor to me and a friend, and his wonderful family became like family to me. When I became a mom, I couldn't wait to introduce my little guy to the Levins. And that little guy just started college himself. I can only hope and pray that he has a Professor Art Levin in his future. I know that's a tall order, though. Mr. Levin, God bless you and thank you for everything. You changed my life, and I will never be able to thank you enough.
While I am certain that this video will be filled with words of appreciation and anecdotes about Art, I thought I might share some of Art's own words. For those of us who love and miss Art, we can take solace in his own words of his sense of fulfillment and be at peace with his passing because of his continuing inspiring presence. In his own words, and I quote, as these are from letters and notes that Art sent me over the years, Art said, "Every professor I have ever known relishes the successes of his former students, and I am no exception." In May of '84, he wrote, "Since I have known you, I have stressed that life without commitment is not a worthy life and provides no satisfaction. What I have accomplished with my life," Art said, "will not change the world, but it has provided me with satisfaction, a strength of purpose, and an inner security." On the occasion of his retirement from Butler, Art said, "For almost half a century, I have devoted my working life to training journalists to write, edit, investigate, and to ethically and truthfully inform readers of events that might affect their lives." And on the very special occasion of daughter Lindsay's marriage to Ben, Art privately contemplated his work at Butler in a note that said, "At the very least, we can conclude that we lived relevant lives and in a small way made a contribution to society. And I would add, in my words, a big difference in the lives of so many, including me and my family." Of that, there's no doubt in my mind. This message comes with a gratitude to Art's beloved Butler University for making the right choice and bringing him to campus, and for making this celebration of Art's life possible. Along with love and affection to Stevie, to Scott, to Lindsay, my goddaughter, and their lovely families who gave Art so much joy.